This is GARIS, Masculist, MGTOW flyers, that is 2-3 page essays on the themes of masculism and MGTOW, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. This is flyer number 438, part 2, entitled Molehill Feminist. Going straight on. Slavery is a war issue. Look at the US Civil War, which was largely over the issue of slavery. Masculists claim that to have one's masculist consciousness raised is essentially to see fluffydom as manslavery, and manslavery as slavery, which is something to be hated. Masculism's core idea is that it is a rebellion against being man-slaves to women, against working for women. Masculists claim that it was men who liberated women by giving women a pill, household gadgets, science-based medicine, giving women a life expectancy of 85, so that women, even those who stay at home for 6 years until their second kid is off to kindergarten, have a career window of half, in capital letters, a century. So that the masculists are telling women in very forceful terms, quote, "Now that women can work, they must work. Anything else is manslavery, and manslavery will get you killed by masculist soldiers who will not tolerate you women being decades-long manslaving parasites of men." End quote. So in the near future, when you see a masculist hurling the insult at a feminist or a group of feminists, Molehill Feminist, then you will know that he thinks that the views of the monoconscious feminists that men oppress women far worse than vice versa is a massive exaggeration, that is, making mountains out of molehills, whereas in fact the reverse is true, as known by that masculist. The masculist is telling these monoconscious feminazi bigots that they are ignorant of masculist ideas, that they are hypocrites. These MFBs feel they have the right, due to their knowledge of how men oppress women, to lash out at men, whereas in reality women oppress men far worse, so men, so masculists, have the equivalent right to lash out at women for oppressing men, and far worse than vice versa. The term Molehill Feminist expresses masculist contempt for monoconscious feminazi ignorance, bigotry, and massive gender injustice, since manslavery is such a major gender political crime that the masculists aim to exterminate it by exterminating the fluffies and fluffy feminists, by forcing fluffy women to rot on the shelf, rejected totally by masculists, who won't even pump and dump them, thus annihilating them slowly, so that these rejected women are unable to reproduce, or at least not with quality men, who are the first to go masculist due to their superior intelligence. Masculism is teaching men that marriage and paternity is toxic, that the divorce courts have been taken over by the monoconscious, fluffy feminists, who have made divorce so toxic for men that young men are refusing to give young women their sperm. Masculists are telling young women to hate the MFBs, who control the divorce courts, as much as men do, since the core reason why men refuse to give young women their sperm is that these masculisted young men refuse to face a 1 chance in 4 of being financially massacred and have their lives ruined in the hated, fluffy feminist-controlled divorce courts. In time, the term Molehill Feminist may become well known and understood, so that it takes on real emotional force when hurled at an MFB by a biconscious masculist. The MFBs will know that it is a term of abuse, coming from very angry masculists who sneer at the callous misandry and monoconscious ignorance of the MFBs. As millions of men become masculisted in the next few years, they will become increasingly intolerant of the ways that feminists lash out at men, when these men know that, in fact, the reverse is a much stronger case, and sense the hypocrisy of these MFBs. As a case in point, consider what the female CEO of YouTube is doing to the feminist channels and the masc/MGTOW channels on YouTube. She promotes the feminist channels, since she is herself a self-avowed feminist and deletes, in capital letters, in brackets, yes, you heard that right, deletes Masculist and MGTOW channels. It's no wonder that Masculist labels such women MFBs, that's monoconscious feminazi bigots, that is, utter sexist hypocrites who are so hated by the biconscious Masculists that Masculists spit at them. Millions of monoconscious feminists in the next few years will undergo profound shock as they are confronted by very angry, verbally violent attacks from biconscious Masculists who have lost patience with these molehill feminists who exaggerate the level of oppression of women by men when in reality it is the other way round. Millions of men will see increasingly that today's monoconscious feminists are in effect molehill feminists, and hence will be harangued off the stage and later spat at. And if these molehill feminists persist long term, they will be killed, because masculinist soldiers will not tolerate that these hated fluffy MFBs indirectly wipe out whole populations through their toxic control of their divorce courts, through their tooth and nail opposition to the legislation of the paternity rejection right, their opposition to the men fairing of the gender laws, their opposition to the creation of gender equality committees in the parliaments, in brackets, comprised half of female feminists and half of male masculists, close brackets, so that women's and men's gender issues are treated equally, which is far from being the case today. In time, the whole population will see that the feminists of the 2010s were molehill feminists, ignorant of how women oppress men, who exaggerated the level of oppression against women by men. As masculinist ideas spread, the whole population will learn that in reality women have oppressed men far worse with their decades-long manslaving parasitism, a major gender crime that in time will get fluffies killed because they will be seen as decades-lasting manslavers, a capital offence. Cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de Garis. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Author of the book Masculism, Men's Rebellion Against Being Manslaves to Women, and e-textbook of 430 plus masculist flyers for men's studies courses. Freely downloadable in Microsoft Word format from my website. Ciao.